All right, so I'm recording this meeting and I'll post it on Blackboard. Go ahead, Jacob.
Oh, my apologies. My mic always turns on when I log in.
Yeah, I actually, that's a setting. And I set it. So I probably shouldn't have set that. What I would like you guys to do, don't ask me why. I have a lot of different Zoom meetings. When I have Zoom meetings with the faculty, or I'm involved in this thing called BSF, and when I meet with them, there's about 50 of us online, and everybody has their camera on, and it's really nice. I can see everybody. But when I have Zoom sessions with my college students, nobody turns their camera on. So you don't have to, but I would really appreciate it if you can turn your camera on. If you don't have one, or if you're not dressed appropriately, that's fine. But it really does make it easier if I can see some people that I'm talking to, because I get a little bit of body language feedback, and it's really helpful. Also, I want to get to know you guys and see who my students are, because in many cases I wind up writing letters of recommendation for you after you graduate. If you go to work for the government and you're looking for a security clearance, a lot of times you'll list me as one of your professors, because most of you will have, at a minimum, everybody will take 2 courses from me, and many of you will take 4 courses, and some even do an independent study. So sometimes I have you for 5 courses, which is probably more than anybody else in the department. So there's a good chance that you'll get to know me and I'll get to know you. And so it'd be nice to see who you are. All right, so I'm not going to take too long to do this. I want to do a couple things. I want to go over the syllabus a little bit, and part of the syllabus includes the schedule for the course. So, and I also want to give you a little bit of context. So the book we're using for this, so there are actually 2 logic design courses, as I'm sure you know. This one that's online and asynchronous, and then there's one that's in person. Now this semester, I specifically limited this one to 25 or 26 students. And the online course has about 60 students. Because for the most part, I would prefer that you take this in person. I think you will learn more if you do that. And even though you're signed up for the online course, you are always welcome to come to the in-person class. So anytime you want to do that, feel free, just roll right in. And it's also sort of, just so you know, so last year, I guess 20 and 21, I wrote a book for logic design, but that's not the book we're using. The book we're using is the book I've used for the last 4 or 5 years. But the Roth book is this is the 7th edition. But I think when I started teaching this course some 20 years ago, we were using the Roth book version 5 or maybe even 4. And then we've gone through 6 and 7. 6 and 7 aren't really different. And I think they actually came out with they called it a 7th enhanced edition last year, but it's really not that different than the 7th edition. So if you have the 6th or 7th edition, they'll both work. Even probably the 5th edition would be, the 5th edition would probably be fine, but they do mix up the problems a little bit. So when you get the problems, make sure you get the problems from somebody that has a 7th edition, because the problems, then they shuffle the problems around, even though the 6th and the 7th changed very little, but the problems shuffled around. So, but the book I wrote is an online text, and that's what I'm using for the in-person course. It's very similar to the Roth text. I cover pretty much the same topics. I added some additional material that I really wanted to include. And so that's really the difference between them. But the tests that you'll take and the tests that the in-person course will take are pretty identical. The Roth book uses, when we talk about hardware description language, which we'll get to, in the Roth book, it's presented as VHDL, which stands for very high speed integrated circuit hardware design language. That's VHDL, whereas the other language is Verilog. And so in the Roth book, they use VHDL. In my book, I use Verilog. And I talk a little bit about C and Verilog, and I've included some of the Verilog in this course anyway, because in this department, we don't really use VHDL. We pretty much only use Verilog. So Verilog is really what you need to get used to. For those of you who are computer science majors, I'm not computer science. For those of you who are computer engineering majors, you'll have to take digital systems design, and that's another one of the courses I teach. And in DSD, we use Verilog. I only teach Verilog, the DSD course, in the fall, and I only do Micro 2, which is an elective for computer engineering, in the spring. The other course that you'll have to take is Micro 1, and I teach that both in fall and spring. And this year we're doing an entirely new board in Micro 1, and I'll probably show you that in a few minutes, just so you kind of see what's going on there. But we'll finish this up in about another 25 minutes or so and be done. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. So I have I have a PhD in electrical engineering from the University of Missouri. My undergraduate major was electrical engineering at Purdue. And then while I was at the University of Missouri, I also applied to medical school, went to medical school at the University of Missouri, and got my MD from the University of Missouri. And then I practiced medicine for 30 years, 21 years in the Air Force as a physician in the Air Force, and 9 years in private practice here in San Antonio. My specialty was obstetrics and gynecology. And my last 9 years, I pretty much, well, I did just do gynecology. Last babies I delivered were in 2004. So that's kind of what I did. Part of my time in the Air Force, 9 years I spent at Wright-Patterson. I was assigned to the Air Medical Research Lab, and I basically did research 3 days a week in the, basically electrical engineering type research. And then 2 days a week, I did anti-incontinence surgery, and I operated one day and did urodynamics and saw patients in the clinic the other day. So that was 9 years at Wright-Pat, and then 9 years down here, I was chairman of our OBGYN department, and I basically did hysterectomies and that kind of thing. I usually operated 3 days a month, and then the rest of the time I would spend time in clinic or doing, running the department. And then in my 9 years in private practice, I did about 1,000 laparoscopic hysterectomies, including the last 50 or so I did robotically, and took care of my GYN patients. So if you have gen questions, you can always ask me. I'll be happy. I'm still licensed, although I haven't really seen patients for about the last 3 or 4 years. So I was also in the Army for 3 years before all that. After I graduated from Purdue, I went into the Army and went to infantry officer basic. Then I went to flight school, where I was trained to fly helicopters. And then I went to jump school and ranger school, and then went to Vietnam, where I spent a good part of the time flying helicopters and a little bit of the time on the ground as an infantry officer. So that was my Army career. But then I did 21 years in the Air Force as well. So my interests are primarily, I'm pretty much a digital guy, microprocessor guy, and FPGA, using hardware description languages. So those are my interests. Probably the course I like to teach the most is Micro 1, and that one probably takes most of my time, because every semester we have to manufacture 90 boards for the students. We make them ourselves. It's designed here at UTSA, and this semester we've changed that board up completely. So when you guys take it, probably next fall or next spring, we'll be using a brand new board. Actually, we'll be on revision 5.2 at that point, because we have a few kinks in the current model. Anyway, so that's kind of what I'm interested in. And you'll find that if you take digital systems design, this course will really help you for that. For microprocessors, this course will help you some too. And I will include some of the material in my book, which also sort of feeds into Micro 1. That was part of the reason I wrote it, was to make it more complementary for the course and to cover some things that the Roth book doesn't. But I'll make sure I include all that in this course. So the way this course works, so let me go to the syllabus and talk about that. Does anybody have any questions? So even when I was chairman of our OB-GYN department at Wilford Hall and BAMC, I taught logic design in the evenings, and then my entire time in private practice, I taught at UTSA as well in the evenings. All right, so I'm going to share my screen, and we'll go through the syllabus a little bit. Let's see, this is what I want there. Yeah. Okay, so here's the syllabus, and so the course you're in is 2513B, and the syllabus is different for this course because it's an online course. And this is a 3-1. So it has 3 lecture hours per week, 1 hour of recitation. Now, for some reason in ASAP, that recitation section is listed as a laboratory, but it's not a lab. It is a recitation. There is another course called 2511 that is Logic Design Laboratory, which I don't teach, and that course is a laboratory course. It has, I think, 1 hour of lecture and 3 hour of labs a week or something like that. So, but it is complementary, and we are working to try and coordinate Logic Design Lab and Logic Design course a little more closely. We will use the Roth Fundamentals of Logic Design 7th edition text for this course. Just keep in mind that the in-person course does use my new textbook, which is a little different, but pretty similar. So there won't be anything really that different between the courses. So we will talk about, so we won't really do a lot of, we won't get into calculus in this course. So if you're just taking calculus, you're still fine. All you really need is basic algebra, and even that I'd like you to forget, because switching algebra is totally different than regular algebra, and regular algebra just confuses you, really. So not that you shouldn't know regular algebra, you absolutely do need to know it, but when you're learning switching algebra, you need to switch that off and start fresh because it's different. So we're going to learn about number bases, Boolean algebra, combinational design, and sequential design. And so when you finish this course, you'll be able to design basic digital systems. You will actually gain a lot of skills in this course that you will use throughout your probably entire electrical engineering career, because almost everything you'll deal with will be a digital system. We still have analog systems and we still use analog devices, but in almost every single case, they're married to a digital system to process the data, to display the data, to control the system, all digital. And the little bit of analog portion is somewhat typically separate in most systems and controlled by the digital side. And all the signal processing, all of that is done digitally now. We're going to cover number systems, which has to do with bases. Of course, you should be familiar with the decimal system. That's a base 10 system. Most of our digital processing equipment uses the Boolean system, which is a base 2 system. But we also use base 16. We call that hex. In the old days, we used to use a lot of octal base 8, but that's gone. So the 3 you really have to concentrate on now: base 10, base 2, base 16. We will just briefly talk about how you switch, how you could use any arbitrary base like base 7 and switch base 7 to base 3 or base 11 or some stupid base like that. But for all practical purposes, we don't use those things. We just use base 10, base 2, base 16. That's it. We're going to learn Boolean algebra, which is really based on the binary number system, base 2. And we're not going to cover all of Boolean algebra because it's really a bigger topic than you might think, but we'll cover the part of Boolean algebra that deals with the base 2 world. And we call that switching algebra. So, and we're going to learn some theorems in switching algebra, and they're pretty cool. It really gives you a lot of skills, but when students first approach it, it's very, for many students, this is challenging. And so don't let this part of the course discourage you. We will really do the course in 3 parts. The first part will cover switching algebra, number bases, kind of the basics, the basic theorems of switching algebra and truth tables and sort of our basic, the way we represent a truth table with a logic equation, and the way that logic equation represents actual hardware. Then we'll go into what's called combinational design, where we'll learn how to take a truth table, optimize it, and turn it into the simplest combinational design that we can squeeze out of it that fully implements it. So we'll do that as combinational design. We'll learn some simplification techniques. We'll learn to use K-maps to do the combinational designs. And then the last part of the course, we'll take our combinational design skills and we'll use them to do sequential design. Another word for sequential designs is state machines. And so we'll actually design state machines. And this is what most digital devices are. They're just very complex state machines. Your cell phone is a complex state machine with a little bit of analog features that allow it to transmit digital information over radio frequencies and talk to the cell towers. And also some other handle audio, which instantly gets turned into digital audio, and I guess a few other compass readings and things, and GPS signals and some things like that have some mostly digital features, but a few analog features. We're going to learn, and that's in the first part of the course, we'll talk about the difference between analog and digital. All right, so we're going to learn about, again, combinational design, and then our transition from combinational design to sequential design will be, we'll study flip-flops, and we'll see that we use flip-flops as our memory devices, and that's what makes up the memory element in our sequential designs. We'll also sprinkle in an introduction to VHDL, and we'll talk about how it's used in combinational design, and we'll talk about how it's used in sequential design. And I also will sprinkle in some Verilog with that, so you'll sort of see both. You won't come out of this course with a real grasp of hardware description languages. It's just really an introduction, but hopefully you'll know, you will have heard the terms. You'll be able to recognize where they're used and some of their features. Okay, so the performance criteria, ABET kind of things, it is sort of what we want to get out, but some of this is really more for ABET than for you guys. So there will be, for most weeks, there will be 3 videos a week to watch. You can watch them anytime you want, but each video, most of the videos, there's a few that don't, but most of the videos have a quiz that you have to take after them. Most of the quizzes have 4 questions, some have 6. And you have to get at least half the questions right to get credit for the quiz. And the quizzes will make up, I don't know, it's like 15 course points out of 100 course points or something. And you can actually make more than the, or no, it's actually 5 course points. But you can actually make more than the 5 course points if you do well on all the quizzes, because there's I think they're each worth about 0.2 points, and there's about 30 of them, and you only need about 25 to get your 5 points or something. Anyway, so you must finish all 3 quizzes by Saturday at midnight of the week that the lecture shows up. So this week there'll be 2 lectures, one for Wednesday, one for Friday, but you can look at them both today if you want, or tomorrow, or anytime this week, and there'll be 2 quizzes, one for each lecture, and you need to finish those quizzes by Friday at midnight. I mean Saturday at midnight. So here are my office hours. I will hold a Zoom session on Monday from 11 a.m. to noon, and you can join that by Zoom, or you can come to the BSE building and actually show up at my office and do it in person if you want. I'll have the Zoom on, and I'll be in my office as well. This is my mobile phone, and this is my office phone. If I'm in my office, you can definitely get me here, but if not, I'm usually teaching or in the lab, so I don't spend a tremendous amount of time in my office. So I prefer, if you just call me, I may not answer it because I won't recognize the number. So it's better to text me first and tell me you're going to call. So I'll be looking for it. Use this email, do not send email to me through the Blackboard system. Send it to the paul.morton@utsa.edu address. And in general, we'll avoid sending information about grades and personal information like that. But you can ask all sorts of general questions. If you need to do the personal thing, then you probably should call me. We should probably have a conversation either face to face or on the phone where there's security. So this semester, there will be a group project where a group of 4 or 5, maybe 6 students will do, every group will do one of the projects at the end of chapter 8 in the Roth book. And it's a combinational design, and it's a great learning experience. Many students rate that as the best thing they got out of the course. Excuse me. And so that will cost about 8 course points. There'll be, I may give you at least one quiz. I may give you a Queenie McCluskey quiz, or maybe another quiz, and that might, or maybe even a couple of quizzes that might add up to 4 course points. Your homework there's 13 homeworks. All you have to do is get at least half the credit on the homework, 50%, and you will receive full credit for that homework. If you get full credit for 10 homeworks, you'll get all the points for the homework, which will be 18 points. There'll be 2 midterm exams. There'll be 20 points each, and there'll be a final exam that's worth 30 course points. All the exams will be online. They will be the format of the exams. It'll be just like the quizzes. The questions will be presented randomly, and you won't be able to back up. Most of the exams will have a Word document or a PDF that goes with them that has figures on it that you'll use for the exam. And I'll give you, we'll do some practice. There's plenty of practice exams. I'll do reviews before the exams, and I'll do before the final exam, and probably before the midterm exams too. I will do a live Zoom review and record that so that you can go back and refer to that and study for it. And it'll be pretty detailed and pretty specific, so it should really help you. So I would encourage you, make sure you don't miss any of the live Zoom reviews. I just give letter grades A, B, C, D, F. So most of you will get A's and B's. There'll be a handful of C's, and then there'll be a few people who simply don't do the work, maybe skip the final exam, or do really bad on all the exams and don't do the project, don't turn in homework. And if you do that, then you'll line yourself up for a D or an F, but you actually have to have a C minus. This is for computer engineering students. This is a gateway course, so you only get 2 shots at it, so don't screw that up. And if you drop it, that's 1 shot. So be sure, if you're doing poorly in the course, come talk to me. You really have to try to flunk this course. The information is it's technical, it's complicated, but it's not difficult. So if you keep up with it, or if you get behind and you come to me and you get help, you'll be fine. If you get behind and you don't get help, then you'll probably do poorly, because you can't guess. You pretty much have to know how to do the problems, or you're just dead in the water. All right. So we went over this. So it's good to read through this. There'll be no makeups on the quizzes at all. So you have to do the quizzes you've got a whole week to do the quizzes. So if you don't get them done, it's on you. They go away at midnight, at 11:59 on Saturday night. So make sure you do them before 11:58, because sometimes the internet's slow and you try and turn them in and then they go away, and there won't be any mercy for messing up the quizzes, and there won't be any mercy for not turning the homework in. If you don't turn the homework in on time, it'll be due at midnight on the date that it's due, and that's all in the syllabus. I'll show you in a minute. And if you try and turn it in, you can turn it in up to 1 week late, but it will count for 50% off. So if you think about it, let's say your homework is 3/4 done, then go ahead and turn it in on time. Because if you get at least a 55 or a 60 on it, you'll get full credit. Whereas if you turn it in a week late, you have to get it perfect to get credit for it. So don't wait. And you only get 1 week late. And after 1 week late, that's it. I will not accept any late homework after the 1 week late grace period. That's it. And so in the past, I used to take homework anytime, but I learned that that's a bad policy, because what happens is there'll be, a handful of students in the very last week of class or during finals week that want to turn in all their homework because they calculated the grade and you realize that the 18 points for the recitation is going to kill them if they don't get it. And I used to take it, but it is not fair to my grader. It's not fair to the TA. It's not fair to me trying to do final grades and get them turned in, because now we're going back and trying to grade all this last minute stuff. And the whole point of homework is to keep you current with the course so that you have some hands-on problem solving experience with the stuff we're actually teaching at that moment. To do it all at the end, there's no point. You've already missed the learning opportunity that it presents. So so for that reason, I've changed the policy: no late homework. Well, 1 week late, but 50% off. So I really want you to turn it in on time. All the videos are already on Blackboard. A few of them are lower resolution. I redid some of them. I may have to look at that and see. Maybe I'll redo a few too. But then once you get past the first couple of weeks, then the resolution's better, and you can usually. And I think they're all pretty workable. But the later ones are fine. The resolution was better. When I did them, I think I did them spring last year. Anyway, so I don't want you to copy somebody else's work. You can study together and you can work on homework together, but your solution should be the one you actually wrote out, and not a cut and pasted copy of somebody else's. So make sure you do your own work. And also on tests, it's open book. It's not a closed book test, but and you can Google stuff on the internet if you want. That's fine. But what you can't do is call somebody up on the phone and ask them to help you. And if students collaborate and I see a pattern, then that could be problematic for you. So don't coordinate with other students on the test. If I usually do, if you really bolo one of the midterms, I usually do have a session where I let you do corrections on your test and get some points back on your score. So usually that's for students that score under 70. And so don't despair. Just make sure you do the corrections, and that'll increase your score, and you'll be okay. You'll still could do fine in the course. Okay. Any academic dishonesty, we'll refer it to the appropriate university office that handles that. And that's all spelled out in the UTSO's common syllabus information. All right. So again, these are the performance criteria, but all right. So here's the schedule. So this is laid out for every week. So the first week is January 19 through 21. So that starts, today, tomorrow actually. And so it's started as though you're going to have class on Wednesday or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but of course you can do these anytime. And usually I make them available starting Monday of the week that the lectures are supposed to be given. So Monday at midnight, early Monday morning, you can see anything all the way up till midnight Saturday, 11:59 Saturday. Remember, midnight is actually the first moment of the new day, and 11:59 is the last moment of the old day. Okay, so for example, this Wednesday, read the course syllabus, read through the course schedule, which is what we're looking at now, PowerPoint slides, Unit 1, textbook Unit 1, and then watch the first video, complete the student introduction survey. It'll help you in forming project teams, and post your introduction, meet your classmates, discussion board if you can find it. And then start working on homework 1, which is due January 24th at 11:59 on Blackboard. There's a turn-in link on Blackboard. And let me just, I'll I'll show you that. I'll show you the Blackboard thing in just a minute. Then on Friday, I'd like you to do the pre-test. This is an ABET requirement, so please do it. It does not count for your grade, so I guess you can skip it and you won't get penalized, but it hurts our accreditation efforts if you don't do it. And it also, it makes it a little harder for me to maybe modify the course slightly depending on what the profile of the incoming students is for the course. So you should do it. And there's a couple of parts to it because it's broken down because it's machine graded, and then that way I instantly know the scores for the various parts. So there's several parts. Make sure you do all the parts, and I'll show you those in Blackboard. Okay, and then the quizzes for this week are due Saturday at 11:59. There's one for video 1 and there's one for video 2. All right, and then next week, Monday, PowerPoint slides unit 2, textbook unit 2, video 3. Keep working on homework 1, and it's due Monday night at 11:59. Wednesday, start on unit 2 again, review the PowerPoint slides, start homework 2, which is due January 31st at 11:59, and watch video 4, and so forth. And it just goes this way through the whole thing. And then when we finally get to the test, I'll have you take a practice test on the 7th, and then we'll do some review on the 9th, and on the 11th we'll take a midterm test. And I may do an extra online live Zoom session, like I think the test is Friday, so I might do it Thursday night and let you ask questions, and I'll go over some things. So yeah, no video to watch on the test day. And the way we'll do all the tests, you can start it from 1 minute after midnight all the way up to 11:59 on, in this case, Friday. So you can stay up late Thursday night and start the test after midnight and have it done, so you're done. The test will be automatically graded. It is no backup, randomized questions. And I know students hate that, but it's the only thing we can do to have any hope of keeping some academic honesty. And I do change things up so that the questions are a little different at every semester. All right, and then there will be a couple of quizzes. Video 9 and 10 will be due that week, so make sure you get those done before Saturday at 11:59 p.m. And then next week and so forth. So I really encourage you. I've had students say, well, I never look at the syllabus. Well, for the love of God, I spend hours doing this. You might as well take advantage of it. It lays everything out for you. So don't just blow it off. Look at the syllabus. That will really keep you connected. At least, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, pull this up and look at it and make sure that you're kind of aware of what's going on, what's coming down, and pay attention to what the dues are and make sure you get them done. And that, if you just do the work, you're going to get a B in the course for sure. Even if you screw up some of the tests, you'll still be fine, because your project, your homework, the quizzes, they all count. And when you add that up, you can compensate for screwing up on the tests. But you want to do perfect on the homework and the quizzes. You want to do everything you can to make sure you get those. All right, and then here you can see we're already trying to get the group project started, and they're due the week of March 21st. And I'd like you to do them online on Zoom, where you have a little bit of an audience, but you can also do a video. You can use Zoom to make your video, and then you can post that to Blackboard. So that's another way to do it. Okay, and so let me just switch over here to, so let me stop the share, and then I'll share it again, and we'll look at the other screen. Okay, so here's the Blackboard course here, and so you already got the link from there, so that's great. This is the let's see, make sure I got that. Yeah. So this is for the office hours. You can click on this link, and I'll be on from 11 a.m. to noon every Monday. And so I think, yeah, I think I did that. And you can also come in person to BSE 1.538. That's my office. All right. I don't know who the TA is yet. So as soon as I get that information, I'll post it. And the TA will be conducting the online recitation sections. And they'll probably do those asynchronous or maybe synchronous on Zoom. I'm not sure how they'll do it, but they'll get in contact with you and they'll send out an email and let you know. Here's where the syllabus is. So you can click on this and pull it up. Here's where all the videos are. So if you click on this, these are all YouTube links. The videos aren't on Blackboard, they're on YouTube, which makes it a lot easier because it's easier. They run better on YouTube. And here all they are. And there's some extra stuff at the end, some help sessions. And I just left those on, done last year and last semester and the semester before. All right. And then they will say, if there's no quiz, I think it says that there's no quiz, associated with this lecture. So you'll know, okay, no quiz to worry about for this lecture. No quiz for some of the ones at the end. There's several at the end that don't have quizzes. So usually all at the beginning, almost all of them do have quizzes, but okay. And then here's the list of homework. So these are all the homeworks. It's a Word file. Let's bring it over here. Let's see. Oh, crap. Well. Okay. Okay, there it is. Okay, so there are the problems. 13 homeworks. And we will cover all 20 chapters in the book. And then here's where you turn in the homework. So all the folders are currently visible, but they will go away at 11:59 on Saturday night of the week that of the day that not Saturday, 11:59 on the day that they're due. So if you look at if we look back at the syllabus. Let me switch that back. And you look at the schedule. You can see that there's a little symbol. Well, this says that when it's due. So that's how you can know. I think I might have summarized it at the end. Let's see, did I do that? Yeah, there's a little summary here if you don't want to scroll through all the stuff. So homework 1's due on the 24th, homework 2 is on the 31st, 3 is on the 4th of February, 4 is on the 9th. So all the dates are established. They're due by midnight, by 11:59 on those days. After 11:59, you're into the 50% off. And 1 week later, the link will go away and you can't turn it in and there'll be no exceptions for that. All right. So let me finish up, just about done here. Okay, so that's the turn-in links. And I think all the dates and everything's correct. I think they're all set up right now. Here are the lecture notes, and those are the PowerPoints. And I'll try and make sure I updated them. I did update them a year ago. So I'll make sure that I'll just double check, but I think they're up to date. And then some of these things are grayed out right now, but I will turn these on. So first test folder, that's the final. Midterm test 2, midterm test 1 folder. So you can see this. So you can click this, and there's a bunch of tests in here that you can take for practice for the first midterm. You should definitely look at that. Some of them, let's see. No, actually, that's the actual test. The study exams for midterm 1. That folder is available, and if you click on that, then you can see all of the there's a bunch of practice tests for the first midterm. Most of them, but not all, but most of them have answers. So that's a good way to prepare for that. All right, and then yeah, and then I think this folder, actually, I'll probably make that unavailable at the moment. We'll turn that on when you get ready to take the midterm, and it'll be there. Yeah, I think the test is, can't see it anyway, but that's okay. Here's where you can turn in your reflections. And there's here's where you can turn in your group projects. Well, this is currently not available to you, but we'll turn that on when it's time to turn in. So if you want to turn in a video, you can turn it in. If you want to do it live on Zoom, then that's good too. I'd actually like you to do it live, but you don't have to. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. There's a few other things if you can flip through and look at them if you want. Oh, and the prerequisite test. So yeah, so I'll make sure these are turned on so you can do them. I forgot to turn them on. So there's I think, is this, no, that's not it. So yeah, so I'll get this set up. Yeah, so here, yeah, actually they are. So there's a prereq test foundation and a prereq test logic. Those are the two parts. So do both of those parts. And I think they're available actually. I think they are. I think you can do them. Yeah, you can just begin them now, I think. No problem. So do those sometime in the next couple of weeks. I would really appreciate it if you get them done. Okay, so that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. Does anybody have any questions about that? Any of the things we covered? Yes, no?
I had a question about your office hour. On
Sure.
the syllabus, it says it's Wednesday, and then in the announcement, it says Monday.
Yeah, it is Monday. I think let's see, where does it say it? Is it on the syllabus that it's Monday or where, or that's Wednesday?
On the syllabus, it says Wednesday.
Okay, I'll fix that. That's
Okay.
a mistake. Yeah, we will fix that. Yeah. We'll do that real quick. All right, any other questions?
There's another question in the
Oh, yeah.
chat.
Go
The
ahead.
test and quizzes are open books.
Yeah, they are. You're online, you can use whatever resource you want. This is not a course where you have to memorize a bunch of stuff. You have to know how to use the information. Anything else? All righty. Okay, I'm going to ring off. And if you have any questions, you can always send me. It's probably best to send me an email. That's usually the best way. To paul.morton@utsa.edu. And I usually will respond within a day or so. I get a lot of emails, so sometimes I get buried and sometimes they go in the junk folder. So if you don't see something, then you can send me a text and make sure you identify yourself as a student in 2513B. So I know, otherwise I have to go on Blackboard and pull up the grade books and search for you and figure out which class you're in. And so students, I mean, I'd like to get to know everybody so I would know automatically, but I have about 300 students. So across 4 courses. So it's hard. But a lot of time, by the time you graduate, I do know you, hopefully. All right. Anybody else? All right. We will.
Hey, Professor, just
Go ahead.
question. As you said, like we can also join you in person class.
Yes.
So is there any way we can get information on it? Like what time is it?
Sure. It's in ASAP. Just look the course up in ASAP. It's 2513 OA1.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And I don't know what, I haven't looked at the room because we're not even going to, the first 3 weeks, but the first 3 weeks will be on Zoom. You're welcome to Zoom in with us. If you want to, send me an email. I'll make sure you get the Zoom link.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. We'll see y'all then down the road. All right. And let me know if you're having problems. Make sure if you're struggling early on, make sure you come get help. You schedule a time to come in and get help anytime you want. Doesn't have to be office hours. Just send me an email and I'll be at school a lot, so you can always come, or we can do it on Zoom. So whatever. All right. And there's also there's learning center help for this course as well. You can get tutored, part of the Student Success Center. So